Welcome to The Real Review, sponsored by Parametric and Lacey Ape Studios, where you get some of the latest happenings, real thoughts, and perspectives in the world of film and television. And this is our Coming Soon and News segment. This is where we cover all of the coming soon films that are going to be releasing within the next few days or so, and we discuss some upcoming film news, which we're actually very excited. Did I say decided?
Yeah, and we're
Very
decided
excited.
and excited.
Decided to be excited
Yes.
about the upcoming film news and the films we're going to be talking about today. How you doing, Matt?
I'm doing awesome.
Yeah,
I just saw Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and I'm all happy about it.
I am. I'm still smiling about that one as well.
Yeah.
It's a very positive experience. I'm Mary Poppins, y'all. That's a great film. Cool. So why don't, well, I can actually just give you guys that stuff right now. Some different ways to get connected to us. If you would like to get connected, we've got our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/realreviewmedia. We've also got a website, which is realreview.com, realreviewmedia, I should say, .com. We have our newsletter and all of our different ways of connecting to us on all our other different platforms. We are at Real Review Media, both on Instagram and Twitter.
Yep.
And then if you have any questions, comments, thoughts, concerns, any news articles you'd love for us to check out, definitely email us, which is realreviewmedia@gmail.com. Cool.
Cool.
Very good. So today we're going to be talking about two films in particular that are coming out this week. One is it's sort of an action suspense thriller type thing, maybe a little bit of drama, which is called King Arthur, Legend of the Sword. And the second is more of a comedy action type movie called Snatched. So Matt, why don't you, do you want me to lead us in? Do you want to lead us in for this King Arthur, Legend of the Sword?
I'm going to take this one.
All right, go
Cool.
for it.
Let's talk about King Arthur, Legend of the Sword. So this is the synopsis on IMDb. Robbed of his birthright, Arthur comes up the hard way in the back alleys of the city. But once he pulls the sword from the stone, he is forced to acknowledge his true legacy, whether he likes it or not.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is directed by Guy Ritchie and stars Charlie Hunnam, Jude Law, Astrid Burgess Frisbee. Frisbee.
There you go. You
Eric
got it.
Bana's in it too.
Yep. Eric Bana.
So this is interesting to me because this isn't really something that I'm really looking forward to.
No.
But at the same time, I am interested to see how it comes together. Because I like Guy Ritchie. He's very, very particular. He's almost like people like his directing style or people don't.
Yeah.
Like, people are never like in the middle. And so I'm very interested to see how he takes this. I like what he did with Sherlock.
Yeah.
With Robert Downey Jr. I like that.
Yeah.
And I think if that's kind of an indication of what this could potentially be, I may be into that.
Yeah.
The question mark for me is the story elements. Maybe I'm just bummed out because I saw The Lost City of Z and I didn't like it that much.
I gotcha.
And Charlie Hunnam was in it. Not that he was bad necessarily, but again, I think this movie is probably going to play to his strengths again because he's going to have an English accent, and that's his natural accent, so it should work out just fine. But I'm curious to see how this goes. I've gotten some early word that it's not a train wreck.
Okay.
So it's not like something that you would expect because there's been a lot of production issues with this film. It should have been released. I think it was going to be released last summer.
Yeah.
So, issues,
Yeah. So this is funny because King Arthur's been done a few different times. I mean, obviously one of the earliest ones that I remember was the Disney one.
The animated
one, which is probably still my favorite at this point.
The Sword in the Stone.
Right, The Sword in the Stone. And then they made the Clive Owen one.
I didn't see that
one. It was
one.
back, oh man, really did not enjoy that one. That one it really didn't do that great. It was a Jerry Bruckheimer production, but it wasn't directed by him.
Right.
I didn't enjoy that one very much. It wasn't awful. I heard that there was a director's cut for that one that actually kind of did a lot of better things with it. But as of yet, there has yet to be a really good, solid King authorial, I don't know what you would call it, within that realm of kind of like, I don't know, whatever you would call it, the legend of King Arthur.
Yeah.
That's been successful as far as like a mainstream action type film.
Right.
So I think Guy Ritchie, to me, is pretty hit or miss.
Mm-hmm.
I like a lot of what he's done, but then there's other films that I'm just kind of like, kind of like more okay. I think Man from U.N.C.L.E. is a good example of that.
Mm-hmm.
There was elements to that I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
And then there were some elements, like the characters were all just kind of like very like flat, like simple
Yeah.
to me in some ways, but the action was clever and fun at times. I loved the first Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
But I really didn't like the second Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
So it's he's pretty hit or miss to me. And so I really don't know what to expect too much as far as this being a Guy Ritchie type production. There are some good people that are attached to it. I will say I'm not a huge Charlie Hunnam fan. I'm not like sold on like him being like the greatest actor that I've seen, in the modern era or anything like that. I thought he was okay in Pacific Rim, but I never watched Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah.
So I think Pacific Rim, I don't know, he was just okay.
His best role is definitely, at least that I've seen him in, has been Sons of Anarchy.
Right, but I like Jude Law. I don't know if I like, because it looks like they're incorporating like magical elements.
And
fantastical,
and
magical,
giant elephants,
even
bigger
like
than the ones in Lord of the Rings.
Right. It felt almost, from watching the trailer, almost like a Lord of the Rings type
a little bit, yeah.
A little bit. So I don't know. I'm just trying to be like, okay,
we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, we'll try and check it out and see what happens.
Any other thoughts on the film for you?
No, not really. I'm always rooting for a film to be good. That's always my hope. As I think most people aren't like hope that a movie's bad unless you're just against the people making it.
Yeah.
But I'm rooting that they can do something maybe different. Maybe that's why Guy Ritchie's doing it. I don't know though. The production issues that have gone into this are a little bit of a cause for concern. But hey, you always have the example of World War Z, which actually turned out kind of good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. My excitement level is kind of like in the middle, but maybe a little more optimistic. I'd say around 6.5.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
I'm probably lower. I'm like a 5 out of 10.
Okay.
I think the more that I process it, the more I'm realizing kind of what it is about it. I think there isn't really anything about the King Arthur legend that, me personally, that I'm like just super excited about. I think the story about King Arthur is cool because it tells a tale of like somebody overcoming adversity and that the power is within you or something, that like just because your external circumstances are bad doesn't mean that you don't have the ability to exceed that and do great things.
Right.
But something like that doesn't really make for good action in a lot of ways because it's a story of like triumph through like a very internal mechanism over external things, whereas action is you need triumph over external things through external means, and the sword aspect of it is such a small part of that. I don't know. I don't know if I'm explaining it very well. I'll have to wait until I actually see the film and probably do.
I want there to be a lot of emphasis on the sword thing.
Right. Well, that's what I'm trying to say. Like I'm processing the whole idea of what the sword means in the legend of King Arthur, and it says like the legend of the sword. I don't really care about like. Perfect example to me. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, right? Seems completely unrelated, but a lot of that film comes down to that sword that they were all kind of like battling to like get control of. But at the end of the day, the film was not about the sword. It was more about
tigers and dragons.
Yeah, tigers and dragons and flying on trees. No, but it was about the internal monologue, the internal identity, and the internal reason for who you are and internal strength. So I really could care less about the King Arthurial sword in that sense. It's more of a symbol of that triumph, but he needs to go through a lot. So I don't know how he's going to handle it. So I need to wait until I see it, probably to say too much more, because otherwise I'm going to end up with my foot in my mouth.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens.
So yeah, awesome. So let's move on to our next film, which this one's it's an interesting one. It's an R-rated comedy called Snatched. I'll go ahead and give the synopsis for this one. So this one is when her boyfriend dumps her before their exotic vacation, a young woman persuades her ultra-cautious mother to travel with her to paradise with unexpected results. It's being directed by Jonathan Levine. It stars Amy Schumer, Goldie Hawn, and Kim Caramel, as well as a pretty large cast of other folks that are part of the whole thing. I know that, what's that comedian? I can't think of her name right now.
Wait, Amy Schumer?
No, there's another comedian that's in the film can't think of
Wanda Sykes.
Wanda Sykes, yep. So Wanda Sykes is in this. She's a pretty big part of that trailer. She's got that kind of funny scenes. That was like the only part of the trailer that I actually laughed about.
Yeah.
It looks like a wannabe humor violence kind of humor action type thing, but it doesn't really hit me in either regard as all that awesome.
Right.
I don't really want to see it's like I don't really care about these people being really awesome action people. You know what I mean? And I wouldn't it's just the types of characters I don't really care about them. It seems like it almost should have been more of a straightforward drama,
Yeah.
like suspense type thing, and then the humor just did not land for me at all.
So with this, it looks like, because on the poster it says Mother's Day weekend. Like this was potentially created with, you know, capitalizing on the Mother's Day holiday.
Yeah.
So
I could see that for sure.
Movies do that. Like, what are those movies that are like New Year's Eve or like Valentine's Day?
Yeah, Christmas party,
right?
Office Christmas party.
You know,
Yeah,
stuff like that.
Yeah,
that are specifically geared to be launched to like help you be in the mood for that like spirit. Oh, this will be a movie you can take your mom to. Which, you know, I don't know. So it doesn't look good to me at all.
We might not be the audience, but sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine. I haven't seen Amy Schumer and all. I actually haven't seen Trainwreck. I know she was in there. I heard that she was good in it, but I haven't seen it. I don't really know a lot about her. She looks okay in the trailer.
Yeah, the funny thing about Amy Schumer to me is I feel like she's a decent actress. Like I don't think she's believable in the roles that she takes in the movies that she does. I think in Trainwreck, she was in a sense believable in that role. I don't think she did a bad job. I didn't like the movie because I didn't think the movie was funny. I didn't think it was clever. I didn't think it was realistic or anything like that. But I thought that she was good in that role.
Okay.
And I would even say for this film, I think she looks good in this role. It's believable. It's funny. It's understandable that she's kind of like this fish out of water type, you know, girl from America. It's, you know, just kind of trying to let loose and then, but it just doesn't, it's just not funny. The jokes aren't funny, you know?
It kind of reminds me of like what The Hangover was going for a little bit with some of the action violence, just kind of humor violence at the same time.
Yeah.
It was just, there was maybe that one line that Wanda Sykes had about like 1 out of 4 people getting abducted.
1, 2, 3,
or
someone's
whatever.
missing. Yeah, that's like the funniest part of the whole trailer.
There was another one that I giggled at, but I can't remember what it was, so that says a lot about that.
All of them are giggle. I mean, like all of them are like they're slight. It's like with a lot of humor style, you're trying to go for like unexpected.
Yeah,
and it's like all of them are a little. They're like just on the edge of being unexpected.
Right.
You know, like with the one where she's like, I'm going to count down and then I'm going to shoot you. And she starts at 100.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's kind of funny because it's like, yeah, you're expecting her to go like 5 or something. So it's kind of, but it's not like, she's going to 100 instead of 5. Like,
like little giggle moments.
Right. And like the part where her mom puts all the, you know, the suntan lotion on her because she's like way too much suntan. It's like, have we not seen a scene like this before where somebody puts on way too much suntan lotion? You know what I mean? So it's just not, it's very expected, even within the realm of being slightly unexpected. But I feel like the humor in it is more like just how far they're willing to go with it being expected. Because it's like, you know that they're going to do a joke here about probably putting on too much suntan lotion, but how, like, are they going to go so ridiculous with it that she's like covering her whole body in it? And it's like, if you find that kind of humor where she's like literally dousing herself in suntan lotion as humorous, then that's going to be your type of movie. Yeah. You know, but I don't, it might be a really good movie for moms and daughters to go see for Mother's Day. It might be like a really good, like, hey mom, we're going to go.
If you feel comfortable with taking your mom to an R-rated movie.
Comedy. Yeah, it's probably going to have a ton of violence and nudity and gross graphic language and stuff.
Let us know what you, let us know if you guys see it.
Yeah. I'd actually really like to see that. Yeah. I wouldn't like to see that. I'd like to know, because I don't know. We're going to have a hard time reviewing this one because I don't know if either of us are going to see this one.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'll try.
We got to learn about swords and legends.
Yeah, magics and things like that.
And giant elephants.
And Richies.
Yeah.
Cool. So then we're going to go ahead and move out of our discussion of upcoming films. We've got those 2 coming out, so definitely check them out. We're going to move into a little bit of news that we have coming up. 2 of these are actually for films. One of them is for a show. Yep. And that's a show for a trailer that just got released. So why don't we start with the films? Yep. What would you like to talk about first there, Matt?
Yeah, so let's dive into this. There's an interview with Doug Liman, who is releasing, is for the movie The Wall that's coming out with John Cena and Aaron Taylor Johnson. Right. Which I'm actually interested in seeing. Seeing as how John Cena is in it, and I'm not really a John Cena, seeing him as like a serious actor guy.
John Cena!
Yeah, especially after all that.
Yeah.
But he was talking with some people. I can't remember who it was with, but he was talking about that. Inevitably, it came up about The Edge of Tomorrow. Yeah. Which, if you haven't seen The Edge of Tomorrow, you listeners out there, It is a fantastic film. It was one of my favorite movies that came out that year. It was like, I can't remember what year it came out, but it was awesome, and it went under the radar. Nobody saw it, and part of that was due to the terrible marketing.
Right. You didn't know what you're getting with that film, really.
Right. You were thinking, because Tom Cruise just came out of Oblivion.
Yep.
Which was okay.
Visually, Oblivion was gorgeous to me. It just the plot. I hated the end.
Yes.
I was like, really, you're gonna do that? Yeah.
And then,
even though that's what the book was.
And then, so you have that like kind of taste in your mouth, and then later that year, The Edge of Tomorrow came out.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. And the part of I watched that movie, and I went with my wife actually, and she really liked it, and I was like, that was really good. What? I just was really surprised. It was one of my favorite movies that year. But what they had an issue with was they couldn't hammer out or decide what they want the name to be. So they were like Edge of Tomorrow, and then they like started marketing it as Live, Die, Repeat.
Yeah, which was like the byline for it. It was like halfway through the marketing campaign, they decided that was more, that people liked that better.
Right.
Yeah.
And so they like kind of pseudo changed the title. It was weird.
Yeah.
And
which I actually like personally, Edge of Tomorrow better.
Okay.
Some people like Live, Die, Repeat.
I would have gone with either one.
Okay.
Live, Die, Repeat would have been good. I think that would have been good because that was like the thing that would have been awesome, or sci-fi Groundhog's Day.
Yeah.
So with this interview that he's doing, they're like, hey, so what's the deal with this? Is there going to be a sequel? And he's like, yeah, actually there's a sequel. We're really excited. Tom Cruise has an idea, and we've been talking to Emily Blunt. Everybody's on board. We're going to do this thing, and we have a title for it. And so he goes about by saying what the title is. He says it's going to be called Live, Die, Repeat, and Repeat. And I'm like, I'm sitting there to myself. I'm reading this article, and I'm like, is he serious?
Yeah.
That's a terrible name for a movie.
Such a bad name for
I think
a
it's a terrible name.
Yeah. Might as well call it Live, Die, Repeat Squared or something.
I don't know.
It's,
They just need to, I don't know. So my understanding is,
just call it Repeat, or even like,
it's written. It's a written interview. So my thought process is maybe there's some sort of tone or inflection where he's just kind of like, yeah, we got great ideas. We Live, Die, Repeat, and Repeat, kind of jokingly. But you don't get any of that tone in the writing. And it's just like, ew, I don't know. That's not good. That's not a good name.
No.
No thoughts?
No, I would totally agree with you. I don't know. I loved the movie. I thought it was really good. I didn't like the ending of Live, Die, and Repeat.
I loved the whole thing.
The Edge of Tomorrow. I thought it was like, it was just like, it was tough because you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. It's like they want to set up a sequel, and they obviously don't want to make it too tragic in the ending, so they kind of have to like.
They didn't even set up for a sequel.
Yeah,
though.
they did. I mean, the way that they killed, I don't spoilers,
Yeah,
whatever. But like the way that they all come back to life at the end, and they set it up like they beat that battle by destroying the main brain thing.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that they've defeated the enemy. They only defeated that one little brain pocket of it.
I felt like they concluded really well, but whatever, it's all good.
No, but like they kind of set it up for like an open-ended. To me, it was like an open-ended like. Well, they won, but did they win?
Maybe I was looking at it from the love story perspective, and that's why I felt more like enclosed. Like okay, Tom Cruise and Emily Blunt were like, okay, hey, we're back together, and Tom's like, I kind of know what's happening, kind of a thing.
Yeah, I didn't. I mean, that whole thing, I was like, it felt more like a byproduct of them just being together, the romantic relationship between Emily Blunt and Tom Cruise. Like, I don't know, I liked it because of the action. Mm-hmm. That's really, really why I liked it. I loved the action. I thought the special effects were really good. Yeah. And I thought it was suspenseful and enjoyable, and they were willing to kill off characters, which I really liked. But then they had this kind of repeat of the ending type thing. And I was like,
repeat.
Yeah, and repeat, and repeat, and repeat. And I was just kind of like, okay, yeah, here we go. So they're restarting everything. And so I just didn't like the ending. That's my personal opinion. Obviously, you don't have the same one. But I just don't know what, in a way, it's like I would love to see more of the action. I would love to see more of like, the robots with the alien things and the shooting and the jumping around and the explosion stuff. That was all really cool. I just don't know what in the story I have left of interest. Like, what is there left that I really want? And
in the interview, he says he likes the story better than the first one. He said he loved the first one.
I feel like they're always going to say that. Like, they're never going to be like, well, I'm making a second and it sucks. It's worse than the first. I'm sorry. I shouldn't be like that. But I just don't. There's nothing of interest. I feel like they're really just rehashing this because they feel like they can make some money off of it, in my opinion.
I don't know. If they didn't make as much. They could have made double what they made at the box office if it were marketed correctly. I feel like
I don't blame him as a director for wanting to do it or for hyping it up. I mean, it's his job.
That's his job. Right.
Exactly. And he's being paid to make these movies. So it's like, go for it. But I just don't know about the film itself.
Oh, man, I love that movie. Okay. So it's all good.
Yeah.
But
I noticed from the Live Die Repeat shirt that you're wearing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Live Die Repeat. Repeating.
Yeah, cool.
It's all good.
Awesome. So what next then would you like to talk about?
Yeah, let's talk about the Blade Runner. The first full-length trailer came out today.
Yes.
And the first one that came out a month, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, something like that.
Yeah.
That was a teaser.
My real teaser.
So this one is the first full-length trailer. Blade Runner, and I've said this before, you've seen it, right?
Yep.
Okay, I saw it, but it was like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And I didn't know anything about movies. I was bored out of my mind.
I really think you're going to want to see that before this one.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to carve out some time to check it out.
Yep.
But regardless, even if I hadn't seen it, or even if I disliked the first one, this movie looks incredible.
Yeah.
And that's obviously the talent behind it, Denny and Roger Deakins, and it's just one of those things where I'm looking at this and you're getting some of the really cool visuals that some of it reminded me of Ghost in the Shell a little bit. This one that came out this year.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like this, just because of the talent behind it, is going to be a better movie.
Yeah.
I don't know about the story elements.
Right.
We got our first look at Jared Leto, who's playing some sort of blind-ish guy that's helped ushering in these
robots. Yeah.
Robots.
I don't know what they're calling them in this version. In the original, they're replicants, but I don't know what they're going to be in this one.
So, anyways, as far as the trailer is concerned, it was really cool. We got to see some cool action stuff. It looks intense in all the right spots. Visually, I just think it's just amazing looking.
Yeah.
Beyond that, I don't really have anything else other to say than maybe when we get a little bit closer and we get some more story beats.
Yeah, I'm torn with this one. Visually, I think it looked gorgeous for a film that we're seeing come out like of a major studio type release. It looks really, really pretty.
Yeah.
It looks really nice, which I would expect considering the production team that's on board for this. But as a Blade Runner film, it doesn't, as of this moment, really feel like a Blade Runner film.
And see, to me, that's all right.
Right, and that's why I'm saying I'm kind of torn on this.
Yeah.
It's frustrating to me, though, because if you're going to give it the title Blade Runner 2049, then I'm going to expect tonally, stylistically, similarities between. I don't want it to just be, well, we're just continuing on with the story from Blade Runner, and we're just using the story as a jumping off point to sell a bunch of tickets for a story that has kind of very little to do with it. And obviously they're bringing Rick Deckard back, Harrison Ford's character, and maybe they'll answer some stuff from like the original one that kind of was left a little bit open-ended as far as like who he is and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the first one was in such a, oh man, it's such a classic, and the very first one really went for a noir sort of, cop beat type sci-fi feel, and that was what was so, in a way, refreshing and cool about it.
That it felt like narration, right?
Yeah, it had narration. It was like a noir film. It was like some guy gets hired to do some job, and he's like some old cop, but it was set in the future, so it had like a sci-fi style to that, and that was so cool and kind of different and innovative, especially in that era.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really feel like they're doing that with this current one, with this tone in this one. My real fear for it is not that it'll be like a bad story, but that it'll just take it in a completely different direction. And I know that sounds really silly, because for a lot of people it's like, well, why does it matter if it's good? Why does it matter if it goes in a different direction? But the first one is such a classic in my mind that I don't want it to be. I want it to go in a similar direction. Yeah. And that might be selfish of me, but it's like, if you're gonna do it, stick with what made the first one so good.
Exactly.
So that's where I'm kind of, and I don't know yet. We've only seen one trailer. I think Ryan Gosling looks good in the role.
Yeah.
I think, again, the trailer looks as a film, for like filmic style, for like modern film, looks beautiful.
Incredible, yeah.
And looks really good. But it doesn't, at this moment, have that sense of like noir style and feel to me. And it doesn't really give me a sense of like we're using elements of what like they've tied in some elements, obviously, with like the big, the some of the elements of like the advertisements in the city.
Yeah.
And
that's the stuff that reminds me of.
Right. And like the extreme wide shots and things like that. But I don't know. And they like a lot of rain. There was a lot of rain in the trailer and stuff at times. And that was a famous thing kind of from the movie. There's a lot of like rain scenes, even talk about the rain at one point. So I don't know. I don't want to say too much more because I feel like I'm gonna say too much before I know too much about it.
Yeah. So anyways, I think it's something to keep an eye on and see what happens with it. And as a side note, before we get into our next topic, it's kind of a sub topic that I'm just surprising you with right now.
Yeah.
One of my favorite shows, not because of how well it was made or anything, but just because of how much I enjoyed the show, is Psych. They're making a movie.
Right, they're bringing the Christmas special.
Yeah,
right?
Christmas special.
Movie?
2-hour Christmas movie.
Which is great. Yeah. For Psych fans out there.
Yeah. Gus, Magic Head, Sean Spencer coming back at you this Christmas.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's that for that.
Cool. Yeah. And so the last topic we're going to be talking about is a new Marvel released trailer for The Defenders.
Yep.
Which is sort of this conglomeration, if you will, of all their other Netflix type proprietary shows. So it's looking pretty interesting to me. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts?
I liked it.
Okay.
I liked it. I liked everybody's interaction. I liked seeing. Okay, so here's my thing in this, because out of the 4 Marvel shows, Iron Fist was definitely the weakest.
Yeah.
But I have like this soft spot in my heart for Danny Rand because he's a kid. He grew up in a monastery.
Yeah.
And he never really matured. He doesn't know about social like context. He doesn't know about a lot of these things. He doesn't know these things. And so I felt bad that he had these like anger issues, which really kind of I hated at the end of Iron Fist. That he had these like weird like temper like tantrums.
Yeah.
And this, it seems like he's going to be a little bit more auxiliary. They're going to focus more on Jessica Jones and Matt Murdock and Luke Cage, and like he's kind of there to be like kind of the peppy kid, you know, kind of like maybe more optimistic about things. Like at that table scene where it's like, yeah, we got a guy who's bulletproof. We have a blind ninja, you know, and that sort of thing. And we have, you know, whatever you
special powered.
Yeah. And I liked seeing that. And I think Iron Fist would do well in more of an auxiliary role rather than the primary focus. I do like that he did kind of prove himself with Luke Cage in that spot a little bit where he punched Luke in the face and like you see it affect Luke like major, you know?
He's not like the thing that you could say about Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Daredevil, like they're all intelligent people and they are smart in a way. They do get their emotions do control them at times, but they make logical decisions. They do smart things. Danny Rand is not, in my opinion, a smart character.
No, he's not.
He's written as kind of an idiot.
It was written like a 10-year-old kid.
Right.
That's kind of what he is.
Exactly.
You know?
So I get what you're saying. And I think he is, when he functions as more of like just a battering ram with his fist, his Iron Fist, then it works for me. And I think he was, in a way, batted around with his show. I think, one, they didn't do a very good job with the production. Right. Because we talked about that. Like, there was times where he only had like 15 minutes to prepare for a fight.
Like choreography.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, what is that? This is a show that's supposed to be about a guy who fights really well. You need to get more than 15 minutes to prepare. And I just think the story progression wasn't very great for that show. So I think within this cast of characters, he will do well. Right. I think he will kind of float into a higher class with this cast of characters. I need to personally catch up because I'm not through any of those other 3 shows. I'm not through Luke Cage. The farthest I'm one through is Luke Cage. Yeah. I think I made it 4 episodes in. I'm only 2 episodes into Daredevil, and I'm 1 episode into Jessica Jones. And it's not like I don't want to finish them. I just never got around to like finishing them. Yeah. The only reason I really finished Danny Rand's story was because we were reviewing it.
A big one would be finish Daredevil season 2 because they showed Elektra in it and she's in Daredevil season 2 and there's going to be a tie-in there. So maybe start with that.
I will. Yeah, I really liked Daredevil. I thought it was really amazing. I think out of all the ones that I've watched so far, that was the one that at the very beginning I liked the most.
Right. Oh yeah, it's still the best. Daredevil was absolutely the best one.
Yeah. So that's the one that I'm enjoying the most at the moment. So I'll have to catch up but the trailer itself looked cool. I think the action looked really fun. Yeah. I think the interactions like you're talking about between all the characters looked really interesting. Yeah. And I'm excited to see kind of what they want to do with it. Hopefully they'll give it a bit more breathing room or production schedule or production budget than they did for Iron Fist. Yeah. I think that was a huge limitation for it.
Yep. I think it looks really, I think it's really cool. I'm really anticipating seeing them all together. And it's a short season. It's only 8 episodes as opposed to a 13-episode season of everything else.
Right. That's why I'm thinking that maybe the budget will be better. Right. Maybe they split out a normal budget over the course of 8 shows instead of doing,
I'm hoping they can do some impressive things, not just visually, but storytelling, keep it real tight. Real succinct.
Tight like a tiger.
Yes.
Cool.
Hiding, crouching tiger, hidden dragon.
Floating across trees with blades and flying through the air.
Indeed.
Runners. Blade runners. That should be the crouching tiger. Blade runner. They're running with... No, I'm just kidding. Not at all. All right, so that is going to be it then for us. Thank you for listening in, and some great ways to get connected once again to the podcast. You can check out our website, which is realreviewmedia.com. You can check out our Facebook, facebook.com/realreviewmedia. You can also check out our our Twitter and Instagram, rather, which is @realreviewmedia. And then, as always, we love to hear from you all of our listeners, hear good stuff. You can email us at realreviewmedia@gmail.com.
Yep.
So anything else, Matt?
No, that is it.
Then it has been real.
It's been real.